I have always taken pride in creating a productive desk and working environment. And after many years and many iterations, I think I've finally built the desk setup that I've always desired. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the full studio I have here, which I use for content creation. I'm going to take you through my desk setup for 2025 and show you how I've been intentional in every decision and all the tiny little tweaks that make this place the perfect space for me. This video is sponsored by the like button. Click it below to find out more. Last December, my wife and I found out that we were expecting our daughter, which meant our spare bedroom, which was my wife's office, which I had absolutely no say over in the setup, was to become a nursery. Now, I'd occasionally use that space for creating content, but the space wasn't mine, meaning that the whole process was exhausting. I had to get video gear out, I had to set everything up, break it down, put it away again every single time. It was kind of like a hotel room in which you live in it, but it isn't yours, you can't make it your own. Then a few months later, I quit my comfortable 9-to-5 job to join a startup as a chief technology officer, because apparently I like making all big life changes all at the same time. And this meant that I wasn't just someone who was going to be filming occasionally at home, I needed a real workspace to work in. We built an office in our garden. In a build time that took 3 weeks, we now have a 4x3 meter space, complete with electricity, internet, and air conditioning, all just at the end of our garden. And here is the space. So half of it is mine, that's marriage for you. So let's dive into what exactly I've built and how I've created it. As part of my new job, I now have a 2025 MacBook Pro with the Apple M4 Pro chip. It's connected to my own personal Apple Studio display, and both of them have nano texture glass. And honestly, once you experience zero glare, you wondered why you actually ever use a glossy display in the first place. Yes, it doesn't get as bright or it doesn't get as vivid as colors, but that small trade-off is far worth it for me for not having all those reflections staring back at me. It's kind of like discovering noise-cancelling headphones for the first time. You don't really realize what you're missing until you actually try it. So if you ever want to buy an Apple product and you're thinking about clicking that button to add nano texture display, just do it. I've been a primary Apple user for as long as I can remember, and my wife actually uses an Apple iMac 5K as her primary monitor. See, the 5K panel in that iMac is actually nearly the same as what's in my studio display. So as a little project, I took that screen off, pulled out the computer, the iMac computer from inside it, and then I brought a converter board off eBay and made it into a monitor complete with HDMI. Now, this is a pretty popular mod to do according to how many views my blog post got on this. So if you want me to make a video about that exact process and how I did it, then drop a comment below, which is underneath the like button, and I'll see what I can do because it was a pretty fun project and a lot of people seem to be interested. The M4 Pro chip absolutely flies through any 4K footage that I throw at it. No lag, no beach ball to death, no let me just go grab a quick cup of coffee while this renders. It just simply works. But my favorite part about this MacBook is the fact it has Thunderbolt 4, meaning that I can plug in my display, my external webcam, my microphone, and any other peripherals I want, as well as powering and charging the laptop, all with one single cable. Now this might sound like a small detail, but it's actually huge for how I work. I'm often popping back into the house, or I need to go out for a meeting or work from a coffee shop, and just the ability to just unplug with one cable, walk out, come back in, plug back in with one cable, and everything's connected is amazing. I've years ago used to have about 3 or 4 different cables plugged into all different each side of the MacBook, and I have to unplug them in a certain order and plug them back in. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it used to get tedious. So I really like this solution of just one cable. It's just kind of the quality of life improvement you didn't realize you needed until you have it. Now the desk itself is an electric standing desk from FlexiSpot, topped with black walnut. And after years of sitting for entire days, being able to switch between sitting and standing has been a game changer. My chair is an Herman Miller Sail, I think that's how you say it, that I've had for years. Yes, Herman Miller chairs are expensive, but here's how I think about it. I spend more time sat in this chair than I do sat in my car. Therefore, it should be a comfortable experience, and I've always believed in investing in the things and the tools that you use every day. Plus, it is kind of like sitting on a cloud, this cushion seat. It's really good. My laptop sits on a 12 South curved stand, and suspended just under my desk to my right, I've mounted a USB extension cable. For example, it's useful when plugging in my AirPods Max to charge when they're quickly running out of battery. I don't need to reach around and try and plug in a cable. I can literally just go click right next to me, click into the headphones, and I carry on as I am. Again, it's those small details that make this space a lot nicer to work in. For peripherals, I use a Logitech MX Master 3S. Yes, I know everyone uses the same mouse, but that is because it is a fantastic mouse and you should just buy the MX Master. I think they're literally just announced an MX Master 4 as well, so check that out. As for my keyboard, I've recently switched back to the Apple Magic Keyboard. Now I know what you're saying, what about mechanical keyboards and that? Yeah, I get it. I have a mechanical keyboard. I have a Keychron K3 and I used to have a Keychron K2. The one thing those keyboards are missing, which is absolutely amazing and I will use all the time, Touch ID. Just unlocking and authenticating on my Mac with just the touch of a button on my finger means I always fall back to the Apple Magic Keyboard. And it's not a terrible keyboard. I would prefer mechanical, but it's just that Touch ID is just fantastic. And if Apple would sell that as a separate button so I can use another keyboard myself, then that would be amazing, but I just don't think they're going to do that. Now, storage is something I had to think about carefully in this small space. This IKEA unit might be basic, but it holds everything I need. So let me show you how I've organized it. Top drawer is my Windows laptop, which I occasionally use Windows for work if I have to, but really I have it because I run Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 on it, which is a 2004 strategy game. Not cool enough to be retro, but I don't care. I just love playing it. To me, it's just really nostalgic. And to be honest, it's why I keep that laptop around. Second drawer is all the tech I need to grab quickly, AirPods Max, adapters, or the cable collection that somehow keeps growing despite my best efforts. Next drawer down is sort of camera gear. So we've got wireless microphones, audio recorders, windscreens for mics, XLR cables, SD cards, everything that I kind of need to record content. And then the bottom drawer, look, I know I'm supposed to be sort of a minimalist setup here, but everyone has a junk drawer. It's just drawer for miscellaneous stuff. I don't know what we call it. Let's just pretend that drawer doesn't exist. And at the bottom drawer is where I keep all my books. Now, this next part might be weird because I've just said this entire video that I've been intentional with all my decisions about the tech that I have in here. But I do have some old stuff that I keep around just because it's nostalgic. The first is an iPod video, which is like the 5th generation. A few years back, I ripped this bad boy open, took out the dying hard drive and put an SD card in it. And now I just purely listen to Taylor Swift on it, but it's super fast and I can store loads of music on it if I wanted without worrying about that hard drive dying. Next, I have this iPhone 6S, purely because don't you wish phones were just this small and simple? Not these massive giant camera bumps that you have these days. Just look how slim and sleek this is. I just wish phones were back like this. And lastly is this macOS install CD. So this is macOS Snow Leopard, one of my favorite macOS versions ever. And I remember going to the Apple store, queuing up and paying £20 to get this copy. Back when you used to have to buy the latest macOS upgrades. Kids these days don't understand how good they've got it and where you just hit update and you get the updates for free. We used to have to queue up and go to the shop to buy this software. But it used to be so much better. Who remembers this macOS intro? Absolutely iconic. I keep it around for pure nostalgia reasons. Now, earlier on, I talked about camera gear, so let's actually dive into it. Let me be clear though, loads of people go for the most expensive cameras, the most expensive lenses straight away. And while I have sort of fallen into that trap slightly, I've brought gear with intention, not buying the most expensive, but not buying the cheapest. I brought my YouTube camera and lens secondhand, and it's not a high-end camera. It's not anything either considered professional tier, it's a Sony ZV-E10, which is an APS-C camera that shoots 4K up to 30 frames a second. And I've paired it with a Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens, which everybody just says to combine those two together or to get this lens, and I can see why. It's fantastic. The Sony camera has great autofocus, it charges via USB-C, it outputs a clean HDMI, so I actually use it as my webcam when I'm not creating content and I'm on video meetings. I usually run a Tiffin black mist filter over the top because I like the subtle softness that adds to the image. For audio, I keep it simple. I have two microphones that I use for everything. I have a Shure MV7 Plus, which I plug in via USB and I use it on all video meetings or when recording content directly on my desk. Or if I'm shooting an environment like this, then I have a Sennheiser MKE600 shotgun microphone, which connects via XLR to an audio recorder that I just have just out of shot. Neither of these are crazy expensive, but they sound really good for the money, and that's kind of what I'm going for. They're great choices if you don't have loads to spend on gear. Lighting can be tricky in such a small environment. My key light is an Aperture Amaran 200D, which is a daylight version. And I pair that, if I'm recording content like now, with an Aperture Light Dome SC, which is 80 centimeters. It gives a really nice soft light and it's a really big softbox. However, it doesn't quite fit if I sit at my desk, so I've paired it with a newer softbox, which is only 50 centimeters across. And the light stand that it sits on is literally sandwiched between mine and my wife's desk, so I have to be, again, intentional about the amount of space that I can use. And then the finishing touches are what make this space feel lived in. And for art, I've got this replica Apple marketing poster from the 90s featuring Buzz Aldrin. I have absolutely loved putting this space together. The countless nights of just not sleeping, thinking about how I'm gonna position lights or what mice I'm gonna get or how I'm gonna set up the desk, which way around I'm gonna do it. It's been really fun. I could have waited for the perfect setup. We could have moved house, or I could have saved up more money to get a different desk or a different lighting gear or a different camera, but perfection is the enemy of just getting stuff done. This tiny garden studio is not to everybody's taste, but is exactly what I need to be able to create content and be able to be productive in my day job. So if you like this kind of content and you're looking forward to me making more in this space, then feel free to get subscribed because there's going to be a lot more coming. That's been my desk and setup tour for 2025. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.